for those of you who are in pursuit of growth, we've got the guests for you today. Let's welcome Sammy Gonzalez and Greg Brinkley to the show. Welcome, guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, very excited to be here and excited to talk with you today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us on.
Awesome. So first, tell us your backgrounds and how did y'all come to know each other?
Well, I guess I will take that first, Greg. My background, again, my name is Sammy Gonzalez. I'm a marketer by trade and graphic designer by degree. I've got a long history in the marketing world. And one of the things about my background that I've always done was to always look at how I can get better, always look at how I can do more, and then always ask myself the why question, which I hope tease Greg up for a little bit more about how we get to know each other and a little bit more about our backgrounds and stuff.
Yes, thanks, Sammy. So my name again is Greg Brinkley, and I work as the Chief Development Officer for a charity in Dallas called Vogel Alcove. And so our mission is we serve homeless children and families. We have a child care and development facility in downtown Dallas where we offer comprehensive programs and services for up to 200 children each day, plus their parents. And my role at Vogel Alcove is to raise the funding for the organization year after year. And it just so happens that I was introduced to Vogel Alcove 8 years ago by the person that I'm joined on screen with, Sammy Gonzalez. And Sammy and I actually met, I think it was shortly after I graduated college in 2002 here in Dallas. And we immediately hit it off, became fast friends. And I think over the last, almost 20 years, I think we've played just about every sport together. We've been in a rock band together. We've worked together at Vogel Alcove. And now we've started the pursuit of growth, written a book, and are looking to take our message out to the Metroplex and beyond. So that's a little, believe it or not, Wendy, a short synopsis of how we have gotten to where we are with the pursuit of growth.
So let's talk a little bit more about that. The Pursuit of Growth is the name of the book, but how did y'all, I heard how you met, but how did y'all come to agree to write a book together? Because that's a big undertaking. It's a big undertaking to write a book on your own and then to collaborate with someone else. Tell us about that story.
Yeah, so Sammy, I'll jump in and lead it off, and then you can come in and follow me. But really, the pursuit of growth started probably 10 to 12 years ago. And to make a very long story short, about 10 years ago, I had an emotional breakdown and just living my life in all the wrong areas and ultimately overwhelmed with guilt, anxiety, depression, fear. And there was one particular night where it all came together and I just fell apart. And after I eventually got myself together that evening, I never forget, I sat down at my desk and I got out a notepad and I just started writing. And I started writing about all the things that I was upset about with my life. And after I finished, what was really a therapeutic exercise of just getting out all these thoughts and fears and disappointments on paper, I added another column and started writing about the person that I wanted to become. And when I finished that aspect, I looked at the two columns and started wondering, what would I have to do in all of these areas to go from the point where I'm at now, where I'm overwhelmed with my life and I'm ashamed of my life, to get to the point of this vision of who I can become. And ultimately, it was that middle piece. How do you grow from here to here that sparked this idea of personal growth and development in my life? Over the next 10 years, I honed in on this. I practiced it and I developed a lifestyle that I follow, which Sammy and I ultimately named the Pursuit of Growth, which is based in active progress towards key focus areas in life. And it's based on growth goals and good habits in these core areas of life. And I guess, Sammy, maybe 4 years ago, I had a conversation and said, we've been living this lifestyle now for almost a decade. I really want to write a blog and start sharing the concepts. And I want to start sharing the results and how this has impacted and changed my life. I should also mention that Sammy, while I was doing this process, was right along with me every step of the way in developing and living this lifestyle. And then Sammy challenged me and said, Greg, instead of writing a blog, what if you wrote a book and I'll help you? And I paused for a minute and a light bulb went off and I said, you know what, that sounds like an amazing goal. Let's do it. And that was 3 years ago. And this year we released The Pursuit of Growth, our first book together.
Sammy, anything to add?
Yeah, I think I have to take all credit for this book, according to that story. So I think I will. But the thing that he mentioned was the book itself, and we can get into a little bit more of the details behind it, but is really written from a standpoint of Greg's experience, that fateful night, and then coming up with his plan, his actions. Something that he and I have been discussing for many, many, many years is just, how do we continue to improve upon ourselves? We had done a lot of leadership development courses. We had done a lot of trainings, but we had never really put two and two together. And then that night when he had that emotional breakdown and we started talking a little bit more about the plans that he was putting together, that's when it all clicked. We were literally standing in the break room of our office thinking like, man, we think exactly the same way, and we'd all just kind of had. So that was why I put the big challenge out there of like, let's write the book, and I want to help support you and grow any way that you can, because I knew it would be good for not only ourselves, but for a lot of the people that were just like us in the times that we were needing it the most.
So Greg mentioned the 1 Minute Matters blog. That's the name of the blog, 1 Minute Matters. Tell us what kind of content our audience could find on that section of your site.
Absolutely. So it's based, of course, in self-development. And in The Pursuit of Growth, we hone in on 11 focus areas of life that we believe are universal in terms of we should be working to harmoniously, consistently grow and improve in. And those areas are our faith, our character, our attitude, our confidence, our health, our love and service to others, lifelong learning, professional work, hobbies and experiences, and financial literacy. So if you think about each of those areas in our lives, if you just look at people, let's just say in America, all of stress, anxiety, depression, and fear tends to fall into one of those categories. And I use the analogy of being lost in a forest. If you're lost in a forest, you're going to be overwhelmed with fear and anxiety. But if you have a clear, precise roadmap on your destination, that fear goes away on how to get out of that forest. That doesn't mean that you're not going to encounter challenges and trials along that way, but it's hard to get lost on a straight path. And so the 1 Minute Matter blogs is a creative outlet for Sammy and I to be able to share best practices, things that we've learned, be able to interview experts in some of these different focus areas to share their best practices and leadership tips in all of these different areas. And in some cases, it's just fun, silly stuff. And other times it's very serious and practical step-by-step applications that you can do. But the whole point of the 1 Minute Matters is that you should be able to read the blog in right about 1 minute and be able to take away some good content that you can actually take actionable steps on.
That's awesome. I love that. I love the quick snackable content is definitely right up my alley. So tell us, what is one interesting thing that our audience should know about each of you? And Sammy, I'm going to let you go first.
Sure. So one interesting thing about myself is probably the fact that, gosh, there's so many interesting things about me. What should I tell the audience about? Well, I'll bring it back to something that's kind of relatable. I have been on this, I guess an interesting fact about me was, not looking at me now, but it's something that I talk about in the book, but I was on a path of self-destruction from a different angle than what Greg was on. And that was on being able to not necessarily have a good grasp on a healthy lifestyle. And so what happened, now I'm comfortable in saying that one day I woke up and I was more than 300 pounds in my life. And a lot of people don't know me from then because it's been quite many years ago. But I always kind of hit it well, and I was always able to do anything that I wanted. Played sports, did anything I wanted to like that. But I'm relating this back to the book because it's an actionable step that you can take in your life to make a conscious decision to change the way you are and change who you are for the better. And that's what I ended up doing. Was I stepped on a scale one morning and I saw that it literally stopped at 299. It was one of the old rotary ones that kind of spun around. So it stopped at 299. I was probably closer to about 320 if I had to guess. But over the course of 10 years and over the course of a lot of self-maintenance and learning to adjust along the way, I'm happy to say that I'm a nice trimmed down 185 and still working at it every single day because it's always a battle and a struggle, but it's a good thing to do, is continue to work on your goals and successes and just take it one day at a time.
Greg?
Yes, so I'll use this as an opportunity to share an interesting fact about my love for the city of Frisco. So I mentioned that I work for Vogel Alcove, the charity that supports homeless children and families. And last year, we actually held a big fundraising event called Day One Dallas at the Embassy Suites Convention Center and the Rough Riders Dr. Pepper Ballpark. And it's a huge family and children's festival with games, activities, and fireworks. And it's a great way for us to bring our community together to celebrate the new year and be able to help raise money for Vogel Alcove. Well, as you can imagine, during COVID-19, being able to put on a festival that has 5,000 to 10,000 people in one place is not possible this year. However, we have a brand new partnership with Main Event Entertainment that's going to allow us to do Day One Dallas again this year at several sites throughout the Metroplex, including the Main Event Frisco. And we're looking to bring some new elements and some new activities to Frisco this year. So stay tuned. We will be in touch with every outlet we can possibly get to in terms of the city of Frisco to promote this event that we're bringing back to North Texas.
Well, definitely. Well, Lifestyle Frisco was a sponsor of that this past year, so put us down on the list for this new event this year. So definitely want to support you guys. So to wrap up, tell us how we can get in touch with each of you. What's the website for the book and the blog? Give us all the details.
Yeah, so let me take the lead on this one, Greg, and you fill in where I leave off because you're always good at doing that, picking up behind me. The main hub of content is our website, which is livetpg.com. And we have all of our links to our social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And we actually just released, we just rebooted actually our YouTube show, and I'll let Greg talk a little bit more about that, but that's going to start rolling here very soon. And I had a fantastic interview last night. And so Greg, tell them a little bit more about the Pursuit of Growth show.
Yes, the Pursuit of Growth show is an opportunity for Sammy and I to engage with interesting and fascinating individuals that we've met throughout the course of our lives, whether those are leaders in business or just fascinating people that are living really lives based in self-development and growth. And we discuss our trials and challenges of life. We learn from each other in terms of the experiences that we've had. And ultimately, we just have a lot of fun and have candid conversations. But most importantly, we wrap up each show with actionable items and takeaways that our audience can utilize in their own lives. So it's something that Sammy and I are very excited about, and we can't wait to continue to release more of these shows, which we'll be doing weekly. And so to Sammy's point, you can find all this information on livetpg.com, including the links to our social media pages. And of course, I have to do a book plug where you can purchase the Pursuit of Growth book, which in addition to the story that Sammy and I described, it's also a manual that you can use that walks you through step-by-step how to accomplish goals and to put good habits in place to be able to set your life on a foundation of self-development and positive growth.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for being on the show today. Sammy, Greg, The Pursuit of Growth. Everyone, go to livetpg.com and check it out. And again, thank you guys both for being on the show with us today.
This was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. And we look forward to having you on the Pursuit of Growth show soon.
Ooh.